Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy's proudly presents Imus in the Evening.
Hey, you had enough to drink tonight, ma'am? You have not had enough to drink? Is this a mercy hump with you tonight? Saying, first of all, thank you all for coming. That's what white people say when they make love, you know? Thank you for coming, Margaret. She didn't know what he was talking about. You know, she had a cramp. Actually, one of the kids called her, "Hey, Mom, I'm coming." You been to potty, sir, or what's the deal? I mean, oh, great. That's great. Yeah. Took you 10 minutes to potty. Like, you know, once he got his hand on it. It's going to be some profanity here tonight. I just want to tell you that right up front, you know, because you're so restricted on the radio. I mean, I would like to read a McDonald's commercial and say something like "open wide" and say, "Oh, shit." But they frown on that, you know they are. But it's going to be profanity, and it isn't because I think that we ought to redefine our definition of obscenity, nor do I think that we should illuminate the hypocrisy of semantics. It's just that I like to talk filthy in front of adults. You know? I mean, the greatest thrill in my life is to run up behind an old lady and say, "Fuck," you know? Ma'am, I don't need you to help me with this fucking show, you know? Really? Are you with her tonight? Mm-hmm. That ain't bad, no, you know? yeah. $100, what do you care? Guy in our Daily News reviewed the show and described me as being scatological. Can you imagine a guy in the Daily News using a word like scatological? You know, C-spot run, he's scatological. See, I'm Polish. I did not know what that meant, you know. It means one who is wont to swear, curse, utter oaths and epithets, and demeaning and defiling characterizations of people, places, and things. I thought of responding to this gentleman by saying something like, "Oh yeah, you full of shit." However, I deal in an area of what I like to call inspired profanities and creative ethnic slurs. And telling someone from the Daily News that they're full of shit is initially, at the very least, a redundancy. I mean, if you write for the Daily News, you already know you're full of shit, you know? So I want to get into something that's more creative and more imaginative. Now, this guy may believe he's full of shit, but he probably doesn't think he's the clay dick, fire stoking, swamp water sucking shithead who ought to kiss my mamma jammin' ass. See, that's an inspired profanity. I mean, he's going to know I worked that out ahead of time, you know? Now, bullshitting. Now, you could add to that a creative ethnic slur. Let's say, for sake of example, he were an Irish Catholic. I could have called him a Bernadette Devlin, sud-sucking, spud-fucking, Irish set of dog-faced looking, fire-bombing, baby-raping, priest-humper. Or a variation of that. I bet there are a lot of you here tonight that swear. You may have sometime today told someone to go fuck themselves. But let me ask you to ask yourself something. Was that terribly creative? Was it inspired? Would it have not been more imaginative had you specified what they fucked themselves with? How about a roto-rooter? Or a parking meter? Why not say, "Why don't you go fuck yourself with a chick house kielbasa, Jack?" Inspired profanities, creative ethnic slurs. Let's say, for example, you were telling Yule Gibbons to go fuck himself. You could add to that what I like to call a creative occupational slur. You could have said, "Why don't you fuck yourself, you raisin-raping, wheat-sucking, organic beehive humper?" I mean, swearing is a good way to express yourself. I mean, if you're unhappy with a guy and you say, "You the stool of a common barnyard fowl frequently barbecued by members of the Negro persuasion," he's not going to know what you're talking about. More to the point would be to say, "You know, motherfucker, you a chicken shit." Swear with flair. That's right. Swear with flair. How about in an everyday situation? Let's say, for sake of example, you enter into a business deal with a member of the Hebrew persuasion. Someone, for example, who has just taken you to the cleaners on a cheap jewelry deal. You could say, "I beg your indulgence, old person of the ample nose. But it appears that you become preoccupied with the accumulation of material wealth, much to the detriment of your fellow man. Please return my money lest I introduce your yarmulke to your digestive processes." Now, if he's an Orthodox Jew, he's not going to know what the fuck you're talking about, you know? You want to get into an area of inspired profanities and creative ethnic slurs. You want to say, "Look here, you one-eyed, thieving, Hasidic jug fucker, give me back my money. I'm going to shove that beanie down your fucking throat." Chances are you're going to get a refund in full. Swear with flair, inspired profanities, creative ethnic slurs. Let's say, how about in a crisis situation? Let's say, for example, you discover late one evening that a member of a popular minority persuasion has broken into your home and is in the process of taking your Sony TV. Are you going to be crude and racist? Will you say, "Hey, Margaret, there's a nigger in the den"? Will you be tasteful and dignified? Will you say, "Whoa there, indigo-skinned violet of the tightly woven hair? Get thee hence from my grounds, lest I be tempted to take cudgel in hand and smite thee"? Your regular, ordinary, run-of-the-mill soul brother is going to say something like, "Huh?" Would it not be more to the point to say, "Look here, you backwood damn spear trucking Etzel fucker. Get your fried chicken, rib licking, cotton picking, welfare cheating, kinky headed, colored ass out of my fucking house." Your soul brother friend may take your television, but on the way out, he gonna whoop 5 on you. You know, you gonna think the motherfucker scored a touchdown, he gonna give you so many handshakes. Yeah, you say, "You got it, Honky." I'd like to talk about something now that some of you folks are going to find offensive. I'm just going to tell you right up front, you know? Yeah. It's a subject we all know about. It's a subject that we all, as intelligent adults, should be able to discuss without resorting to the usual hysterics that often accompany the articulation of touchy subjects. I'd like to talk about white people. Because I am a white person. I'm not just a white person, I'm an uptight white person. I am an uptight white person with some breeding, as opposed to one of them southern rednecks with a terminal case of dumbass. You know? Out eating moon pies and chug-a-lugging ROC Coca-Cola and barking at the fucking moon, you know? Might I say, and you're an asshole, lady. You don't want to fuck with me tonight, you know that? Might I say, without offending anyone, that I do not like being uptight white, relegated to a life of Chevy Novas, paddle tennis, and Big Macs. Might I say that as an uptight white, I am not proud of Donnie and Marie Osmond. That's right, they're my people. That's my folks. White people, we have no culture, we have no heritage. Bloomingdale's ain't even ours. You know? Fucking heaves on that. They have Italian jokes, Jewish jokes, black jokes, Puerto Rican jokes. We got colored iron lawn jockeys, pink swans out in the front yard, and that fucking Gerald Ford in the White House. You know, we ain't got nothing. You know what's really bad about being an uptight white? I mean, if you're uptight white, see, you think that all those jokes about other people are really funny. Did you hear the one about the Pollock that held up the bank? He tied up the safe and blew the guard. See? We got some uptight whites here tonight. And you know, white people don't even look good. I mean, if it weren't for sun lamps and copper tone and makeup, we'd all look like Edgar Winter. And we don't have anybody on our side, you know? I mean, they got Frank Sinatra, we have Buck Owens. They have Reverend Ike, we have Dial-A-Prayer. They have Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell, we got Kurt Gowdy and Lance Russell, you know? I mean, there's no ethnics that are going to run around taking a dick out in front of people, is there? It's always some white guy. You know? I mean, is that fair? Is that justice? How would you like to be uptight white? I mean, why should they have Ray Charles and we be stuck with that fucking Sammy Davis Jr.? You know what white people eat? White people eat mayonnaise, cottage cheese, ketchup, and white bread. You know how often we have sex? Once every 14 days if we're lucky. I mean, you talk to an uptight white chick, she either has a headache or it's a period. I mean, how could a bitch have a period that often? I say, you're going to have to mainline Geritol. You know? I mean, John L. Lewis didn't need as much fucking iron as you do. Shit. Just once in my life, I'd like to slop up some greasy chicken skin and fuck myself into a coma. Just once, I'd like to pee in a Ripple bottle out there on Pike Avenue at high noon and not give a shit. Just once, when a police officer pulls me over in my Pinto, I'd like to skip saying, yes, sir, officer, anything I can do to help. I mean, just once, I'd like to leak out of a Cadillac Eldorado and say, look here, jive pig motherfucker, I'm fixing to fight your ass. I mean, you give me a ticket, I'm gonna bite your balls. You can't do that if you're uptight white, you know? And I'm uptight white. But I have a dream. I've been to the mountain. Just once in my life, for my self-preservation and my dignity, I'd like to go on welfare. I mean, I've seen the bear commercial. I won't get in on the gusto life. Woody Allen has the sex life of Hugh Hefner compared to most white people, you know. See, white people don't have sex. White people discuss sex. Actually, sex is something you negotiate with a white girl. Yes, you respect her. No, you don't think she gives it to just anyone. No, you don't know what God thinks about abortions. Yes, you respect her intellect. I mean, just once, I'd like to say, look, bitch, I don't want to fuck your mind. Give me some pussy. Yeah. But you can't say that if you're uptight white. Mm-mm. No. And you know, white people don't make any noise when they make love, you know. Don't have any kind of conversation or anything. I mean, making love with a white girl is like laying a casket, you know. Bitch lay there and go, They give you one of these to see if you're done. And if white people don't talk when they make love, they don't have much to say when it's over. You know, we just glad that it is over. Actually, the conversation runs along the lines of the questioning on Meet the Press. You know, if you're the white guy, you always say, well, did you achieve a climax? I mean, you did move once. And if you're the white girl, you always say, was I good? How the fuck can you be good if you just had your hair done, you know? All you can be is careful. Boy, sure as I'm uptight white, I don't know if I get one of them Spanish girls behind closed doors, I'd have me a fucking rodeo, you know? How to shoot number 2 with a combat boot and a tennis shoe. I mean, a New Jersey motel, got a goat in the room, turn the heat up, got a trampoline, Jack LaLanne, a fucking toilet, and a rope. Shit. I've actually heard that there's some Jewish girls that can suck off a pair of supposed socks. You know? I mean, one minute you got support, next minute you're crawling out of the fucking bedroom. You know? But you're happy. You know, you don't give a shit. As long as it's sunk to this level. I guess I'd be remiss if I did not discuss ORAL sex. It's what I believe they call sucking the chrome off a trailer hitch. I mean, ain't no white girl, uptight white girl, going to engage in no oral sex, you know?
Couldn't I just lick it around the edges?
Oh, say shit. I have. Yeah, see, it's true. That's the problem. I have this recurring nightmare. I'm parked at the drive-in movie in my Pinto with my best white girl. Parked next to us is a couple in a 1975 Cadillac Eldorado. Got a color TV in the back, third table restaurant in the front, and a human hair roof. The sound emanating from their car is drowning out the movie. It's a war movie. The sound emanating from their car is much like that of a Hoover Otto vacuum cleaner sucking a Casio convertible sofa. The rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, prompt me to turn to my date and casually suggest that she whoop some skull on yours truly. For the land of the free and the home of the brave, of course. She says what all white girls say.
Oh, it'll make me sick. You don't want me to throw up on your upholstery, do you?
Yeah, shit, you know, it's vinyl.
Oh, what if it goes to my mouth?
Well, you won't let me put it anywhere else.
Or do you have any Kleenex?
Oh, fuck it.
Are you mad?
No, I'm not mad. I've just been to the snack bar. Purchased a large box of popcorn. Emptied the popcorn out of the box. Hollowed out the bottom of the box. Placed the box strategically on my lap. Now, sometime during the evening, she's gonna want some popcorn.
Oh, it tastes a little salty.
I was a little nervous when I came out here tonight, you know. It's like a blind date. You don't want to have to come out and be funny and run some ugly motherfuckers, you know. Because you can't be funny for ugly people, you know. I tried it, you can't. Ain't no ugly people here tonight. You look good tonight, Mom. Shit. Is that your husband there? That's good. Because you can do a whole lot better than that. That's a mercy hump there. You know what I'm talking about? And audiences get nervous too, you know. They don't want to have to come in, spend a whole lot of money to see some ugly motherfucker try to be funny, because that's depressing, you know. Way I got to figure about the only difference between me and Robert Redford is I don't know how to ski, you know. I put the snow in my nose. You know, but going out with people you don't know is awful, isn't it? You know, if you don't know what they look like and shit. And I have a system called Rate a Date. It's a numerical designation that you apply to young women or any particular woman to kind of assess their particular strengths and weaknesses. It's up front kind of chauvinistic, but in fact, women can apply it to men, you know. You use the numbers 1 through 10. The higher the number, the better you're going to like it. The lower the number, the better the free clinic will like it. Right up front, there are no 10s. You know, 10's the highest you can go. There are no 10s anywhere that I ever met. I personally know a 9.5, you know, but that's it. Most women in the world are 5s, you know. Now, 5's not bad, but they're just most of them 5s. Give me an idea, okay, like a 1. Now, I had a date with a 1 once, you know. Guy said, I got somebody for you. I said, oh, what's she look like? He said, well, she ain't bad, you know. Because he knew I'd been about 2 weeks, hadn't had none, you know. Well, I should have been tipped off because I showed up at a house and there was 1956 Chevys parked on the front lawn, you know. And there was a lice-infected gang of Hell's Angels raping a Christian Science room monitor on the porch. And this bitch showed up and she had some shit on her face that shouldn't have been there, you know. And she got in the car and I right away figured it was old Godzilla breath because when she said hello, she melted the fucking rearview mirror. And halfway through the date, she crawled up in the back and peed in the seat, you know. I gave the bitch the car just to get rid of her. So that's a 1. A 1 you wouldn't take to an embalming, you know. You talk about a mercy hump, that's a 1. Now, a 2 would look like a 1, except she would wind up to be some kind of piranha in the sack, you know. I mean, a 2 as opposed to 1. A 2 would be someone that got married too young and was trying to make up for all the guys she didn't get to eat, you know. A 3 would be a cocktail waitress that looked kind of good in a cheap kind of dime store sort of way. A 4 would be just rich, you know, wouldn't have nothing else going for it. Just be rich, be Jewish, be from Great Neck. A 5 would be a stewardess. Now, the standards for stewardesses have kind of changed because a stewardess used to be a fine bitch, you know, years ago. Now they put anybody on a plane. It used to be, you know, welcome to Los Angeles and thank you for flying American. Now you got some fucking walking up and down the aisle looking like Otis Sistrunk saying, sit in your seat, I'm gonna throw your ass off the fucking plane. So that's kind of difference in that. So a 6 would be a model that wasn't Jewish, has some kind of job, and somebody that didn't have Elmer's glue between their fucking ears, you know? And you just kind of have to apply your own sort of ratings, you know? I would suggest to guys in the audience that if you're interested in getting some pussy, you know, you just tell them they're a 9 and go from there. Now, it's difficult to analogize what we're doing here tonight with a blind date, but it's possible in that this is a relationship, sort of, you know. It's a relationship that somehow we have to consummate tonight. We are going to get to the point. The point at which, remember in the old Willem Holden, Deborah Carr movies, where you know that it's going to get some, and then the camera would shoot to the crashing waves on the rocks there on the beach? I used to think when I was little that you had to know how to swim before you get some pussy. That's not true, you know. So we're going to have a good time tonight. Somebody going to get fucked tonight, you know. Is it going to be you, sir? Do you give stamps? Let me ask you something. Are you Jewish, ma'am? Don't try to do no fucking lines. Just answer the question. Are you or are you not Jewish? You're not Jewish. You're Polish. Are you Irish? Oh, I don't know. What, firebomb me and rape you? I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. Shit. Hold it down here just a second. Oh, shut up, will you, bitch? Have we done 30 minutes yet? See, we're recording an album here tonight. Do you guys have to change the tape yet? Yes. You're going to change the tape now? Go ahead and change the tape. Is the tape changed yet? No. Well, I'm starting it anyway. Fuck the tape. Shit. These people didn't come to hear tape change, you know? I'm into news. News is my big thing. And news is what's happening. You know, the past couple of years have been like a Columbo episode. Instead of 2 hours, it took 2 years to get that motherfucker, you know? And it was kind of sad because my mother's a big Nixon fan, you know, and she kept telling me, no, you're going to find out. You know, none of it's true. And I talked to her the other day. She said, boy, that motherfucker did it, didn't he? I work on the second floor at NBC. Come out of the studio the other day, and there are 4 women sitting on the floor there, right in the middle of the lobby, and they describe themselves as lesbians. And Gabe Pressman from Metro Media is there, and spots me and calls me over and says, what do you think of this? I said, I don't know, I want to sit in, that's their business. He said, no, what do you think of lesbians? I said, well, I'll tell you, I got to thinking about it, and, I'm kind of on their side, because I found out we like some of the same shit, So we're going to do some news for you tonight. Now, it's different. It's news that's different from John Chancellor's and Walter Cronkite's news, in that I admit that I make it up, And I know them fuckers are lying to us, Here now the news. Speaking from an apple stand near the White House, Presidential News Secretary Ron Nessen this morning said that following a careful review, the administration had concluded that the country might, in fact, be heading into a recession, but that he personally doubted it. His former colleagues at NBC News later recalled as how Mr. Nessen had also once reported that he had talked to the tooth fairy. In a rare departure from the grounds of journalistic neutrality, CBS's Walter Cronkite described Palestine Liberation Organization leader Yasser Arafat as a scrambled, egg-headed thug gangster asshole. Meanwhile, deep rock drilling crews report that they are now at the 200-foot level and still digging in hopes of finding Polish stunt person Iwo Kozlowski, lost since his record motorcycle jump attempt met with disaster when his $2 million skycycle fired backward, screwing Mr. Kozlowski an estimated 400 feet into the ground. Polish surgeon Dr. Christian Bolansky announced proudly that he'd performed the world's first hemorrhoid transplant. Meanwhile, a number of the major oil corporations announced new price increases today, ranging from 50 to 100%, in doubling its prices for all grades of gasoline, motor oil, transmission grease, and hairdressing. The Mobil Oil Corporation of America announced it was adopting a new slogan: up your ass with mobile gas. The city's health department rolls out its spanking new VD testing van today, sort of a bookmobile of social disease. The idea is to get VD clinical services out where the potential patients are, according to the health department. Those desiring the mobile VD testing clinic services, but who may not have a social disease, may obtain one by telephoning Betty at 310. Polish Catholics in Queens, New York, revealed plans to commemorate America's bicentennial celebration by constructing a rosary for the Statue of Liberty, made from used bowling balls. On this note of sadness, an unidentified man described by New York police as a typical tourist-type white male Caucasian perpetrator with 3 Gook cameras dangling from his neck jumped from the top of the Empire State Building. Police awarded the man's dive scores of 9-7, 9-8. And finally, Newark Mayor Kenneth King Kong Gibson has announced the nomination of the city's first Hispanic municipal court judge and the first black woman to fill a second vacancy on the court. Judge Guillermo Francisco Alfredo Españata Ortega Ortez Asteleco, Hijuela Chingao, will assume his duties as quickly as he can get his car started and get to court. The other new judge, 30-year-old Rebecca Golden Johnson Lincoln Jefferson, will assume her duties as soon as she, in her own words, gets damn good and fucking ready, Honky. Some time ago, several months ago, on us faggot Canadians, communists, eulogized America in something called the Americans. My heritage is that of a Polish person. And I think it's time someone that were Polish spoke out for a much maligned people. The Russian ruble took another pounding this morning on German, French, and British exchanges. And this Polak thinks it's time to speak up for the Russians. As the most generous and possibly the least appreciated people in all the earth. As long as 20 years ago, when I was first forced to read party organs, I read about the uprisings breaking out in East Germany. Who rushed in with men and tanks to help? The Russians did. Romania, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and to a lesser extent our native Poland were literally lifted out of the debris of war by the Russians. When the Hungarian government was in danger of collapse in 1956, it was the Russians who propped it up. And they were subtle. They told the Hungarian people that the thousands of Moscow-trained troops sent to their homeland were actually Soviet used car salesmen. Who is it that built the steel mills in India, the big dams in Egypt, the missile silos outside Havana? And now newspapers everywhere are writing about the decadent war-mongering Russians. Well, I'd like to see just one of those crybaby countries build its own intercontinental ballistic missile. Come on, let's hear it. Why does no other country even consider putting a man in Siberia? And what about Soviet jewelry? Everyone knows you can only wear it with basic black. And who wants to be depressed? You talk about Japanese technocracy, and you get radios. You talk about American technocracy, and you get 18 and a half minutes of blank tape. But you talk about Soviet technocracy, and you get an iron curtain. And what about scandals? And let's not be too quick to gloat over the publicity given a couple of faggot poets and a sophomoric author who probably can't even spell suppression. When the Russians get out of this bind, as they will, who could blame them if they say, to hell with the rest of the world? Let someone else rush jet planes to the Arabs and rockets to North Vietnam. Let someone else humiliate the Jews. Let someone else make grain and wheat deals with needy nations. Can you name me even one time when someone rushed to the Russians in trouble? The Caspian Sea is sinking at the rate of 3 inches a year. And who cares? No one. No, our neighbors have faced it alone, and I'm one Polak who's damn tired of having them kicked around. They'll come out of this thing with their flag high, and when they do, they're entitled to thumb their noses at the lands that are gloating over their present troubles. I just hope Poland is not one of them. At least if Poland is one of them, I hope they do it on Tuesday, because I bowl on Wednesday. Long as I've got my plastic Jesus riding on the dashboard of my car, I can go 100 miles an hour. Long as I've got the almighty power glued up there by my pair of fuzzy dice. Say hallelujah. Say amen. Yes, friends, it's the Right Reverend Dr. Billy Saul Hargis, here on behalf of the First Church of the Good Death and Discount House of Worship, coming to you from Del Rio, Texas, that go buckle of the Bible Belt. And we're here tonight to talk to you about your relationship with Him. Some of you, many of you here tonight, are out there walking on that sinful path. You're not on the righteous path. You're out there on the sinful path. You said to yourself, I'm walking and talking with him. Can you say to yourself, Billy Saul, today I was out walking and I actually heard him talking to me. I was working out on the Buick on the front lawn and he spoke to me. I was in the restroom taking a dump and he talked to me. If you've heard him talk to you, say, yes, I have. Say that. They're going to lock your ass up. Because he don't talk to people. I mean, he doesn't have time to talk to people. Shit, what are you talking about? He has time to talk to me. And I talk to you. He talked to me this morning. Know what he said? He said he was pissed off. Yeah. He said he tired of all that shit from you hunkies. So I don't have to hear that. Have you ever said to yourself, I wonder how he is able to tolerate all the misery that goes on here in the world? All the pain and the frustration, the hunger, and the racism, and the oppression suffered by people. How is he able, you said to yourself, to witness people dying, starving to death, living in abject penury? How is he able to tolerate that? He smokes dope. That's right. He's up there fucked up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, fuck it, I don't care, you know. Fire. I mean, 2,000 Mexicans get cream in Honduras, and he says something like, hey, look at that. Them motherfuckers, you know, ain't white, fuck them. A lot of you know that Dr. Hargis is America's foremost minister of mail-order products and divine acts, tricks, and miracles. If he can get high, you can too, because you can order some of Billy Saul's holy dope. Yes, we're not dealing in products. Some of these other rip-off evangelists are selling you things like little bitty pieces of prayer cloth and them plastic illuminated pictures of Jesus with the eyes that follow you around the room. I mean, who needs that shit, you know? It's depressing enough being religious. You don't need some motherfucker looking at you over in the corner with your Playgirl magazine and your box of Kleenex, you know? You don't need that. Here at Holy Land in Del Rio, Texas, we're selling you things that you can use in your very own home. For example, Billy Saul's communion wafers, barbecued communion wafers. Bet you can't eat just one. Billy Saul's sacred chickens, one sacred chicken to go, one with a heavenly glow. One that's religious, one that's delicious. So sacred, it won't dirty your dishes. Oh, the kids will be tickled to dickens when Mom serves them one of Billy's chickens. Don't cook tonight, call Hebrew delight. And for you folks in the South, the meat is all white. Now, I know some of you here tonight, now there are many of you here tonight that are on that sinful path. You know, you're walking on that sinful path and you want to get on that righteous path. But you're looking up here at Dr. Hargis and you're saying, oh, wait a minute now, how can a fully licensed ordained minister stand up there on the stage and say fuck and shit and stuff? So that can't be. You need to know that all ministers cuss. Oh, they don't take the Lord's name in vain. They don't stand up in the pulpit and say anything. But when they get out in the backyard and honks them off, it's fuck this and fuck that. Say, fuck this and fuck that. And how about your priests and rabbis? No one knows what they're saying, what with all that foreign mumbo-jumbo bullshit they whooping on folks. Yeah. I mean, that dummy with his collar on backwards wearing the dress could be sitting there in the booth saying, I'd like to get me some pussy. I mean, you don't know that he's not saying that. He may not be saying that, but you don't know that. And of course, it don't count with your Negro preachers who's always calling each other a bunch of motherfuckers all the time anyway. Say, hey, motherfucker, how'd you do last Sunday? Say, shit, baby, we raking it in. I got me 2 Eldorado. Say hallelujah. Yeah. You may be saying, well, Dr. Hargis, you're talking about some perverts and some deviants. I mean, my minister, you saying this now. You say, my minister would not say that. My minister would not sink to that level to utter any kind of vulgarity or profanity. Tell you what you do. Next time you go to service, you know how you sit there and you're about to nod off and you're so bored to death? Then you walk out and the Rev's standing there and you walk up and you shake hands with him and say, oh, it's wonderful, Rev. So inspirational. Don't say that this time. Walk out there and lean over in his ear and say, hey, Rev, the sermon sucked. Your minister gonna turn to you and say something like, "Would you get off my back, motherfucker? Huh? Tell you how to sell insurance, do I?" Many of you here tonight, I know I can sense it in the room. Many of you are walking on that sinful path. This young lady right here. Been out playing carnival. That's where she sits on someone's face and they guess how much she weighs. So we all, that's not so bad. We all on that sinful path, you know. I was on that sinful path at one time. I'll never forget, I was 19 years old. I was sitting in a diner there in Del Rio, Texas. Little truck stop. I was on that sinful path. Sitting there in that diner, I had just been outside. And ladies and gentlemen, I tell you here tonight, I'd been outside licking a bicycle seat. How disgusting, how heathen. I ate a leather seat once. Now that's being on the sinful path, ain't it? I opened a copy of the Del Rio Baptist Time and Shopping News, sitting there, and on page 3 was an ad which said, "You too can become the true light of the world. You too can walk with him and talk with him and tell him of the pain in your heart." The ad said, "Why not enroll now in the closed cover before striking School of Ministry and Heavy Machinery? Become a fully licensed, ordained minister in 12 short weeks." And so I did. And I removed myself from that sinful path, and I got on that righteous path. And you can do that here tonight. You can leave that sinful path, and you can get over on the righteous path. It's going to cost you a little something. It's going to cost a few bucks, but you can do it. I'll never forget how it happened with me. Oh, it was so wonderful. It was so inspirational. It was so sacred and so holy. School days, school days. Oh, school days. You know how it is when you go to school? Those were your fondest days, were they not? Yes. We attended the closed cover before striking School of Ministry and Heavy Machinery. It's a Southern Baptist School of Theology and Pentecostal faith healing. And I was a heathen young man. I mean, when I enrolled in school, I didn't stop with the bicycle seats. No, I'd sneak out and I'd lick a seat. And I knew I was on that sinful path. But I had inspiration and I had guidance from my fellow students, and they each in their own right became world famous evangelists, and some of them may be leading you here tonight. There was Booker T. Wellfell. He was a Negro. He became progressively more militant throughout the course. He first changed his name to Booker T. X. and then subsequently to Bawana Abdul Lumumba. He moved to Chicago, convinced the government to give him an $8 million federal grant for a school wine program. Booker called it reading, writing, and ripple. They was Garner, Ted Hamstring, Billy Jesus, Oral Rogers Jr., Vinnie Gambino, Jock Bolansky, a Polak dumbbutt. Some say, why would a Polak dumbbutt want to become a minister? I mean, why wouldn't he stick with things like pick up 3 in the 9th frame? Some of the courses at the school were Radio and TV Ministry 1, Radio and TV Ministry 2, Tricks and Miracles 1, Tricks and Miracles 2. Tricks and Miracles 1 was a shop class. We designed, built, and made operative a gas-fed burning bush. We are building the bush, and the Polak dumbbutt sets himself on fire. Booker T. Welfare said, piss on the Polak. Oral Rogers Jr., son of the famous faith dealer, he's there. He said, don't get any water. He said, don't worry about a thing. He says, I'm going to take care of it. Well, Jock's burning, and we're waiting. I'm waiting. Billy Jesus is waiting. Garner Ted Hamstring is waiting. Booker's waiting. And finally, we took Booker's advice. We pissed on the Polak. He was on a sinful path. He may today be on a sinful path. Now, I know many of you here tonight, as I witnessed to you, were shocked that someone like Dr. Billy Saul Hargis could publicly admit to licking a bicycle seat. I have something that's worse for you. I have a story about a young man that was indeed on that sinful path. Today is on the righteous path. Many of you are on that sinful path. Many of you may have committed some disgusting acts in your life. Let this show you the way to the righteous path of Him. The story. One of the world's foremost football players was Robert W. Bobby Billings. Had the most potential of any young man that ever played the game of football. Mr. Billings was an All-American tailback for Bear Bryant at Alabama. Cotton Bowl game. Alabama was trailing gambling 14-7. Fourth quarter. 16 seconds left on the clock. Alabama had the ball on the Grambling 1. They gave the ball to Bobby Billings. Bobby took the ball and hit it for the goal line. When just then a 300-pound guard from Grambling rang Bobby's fucking chime. Knocked that hunker's dick in the dirt. When Mr. Billings woke up, he was not on a football field in Alabama. He was not in Alabama. He was on that sinful path. Because when he woke up, he found himself possessed with an uncontrollable desire to take his private parts out and show them to people. Now, he wasn't a pervert. He didn't want to show them to just children. He'd show them to anyone. Hi, got a minute? He'd haul it out. If he was out there on the LIE looking over his shoulder to pass, he'd haul it out. He had a little eyebrow pencil. He'd draw a face on it with a smile, take it in a bank, stick it up in front of the camera. You know how they monitor the fruit at the A&P? He'd run in there and wave it up in front of the cantaloupe. Before the store manager could get out there, he'd get excited and fucked up $14 worth of tomatoes. But he wasn't sick. He just liked to take his dick out in front of folks. Now, don't you agree he was on a sinful path? And he was. Needed to get on that righteous path. He enrolled in the closed couple before striking school, ministry, and heavy machinery, and all that boogie. And he brought this rather uncontrollable desire with him to the school. Now, it was manifested thusly. It was a regular school, on-campus situation. had a cafeteria, had a young lady serving chow in the cafeteria. And we'd all line up with little trays each day, and we'd go through and get our groceries and go sit down. You know, it's just a regular kind of thing. Okay. We lined up for our evening meal one evening. Now, I'm standing here, I'm Reverend Hargis. Bobby Billings is standing here. And the Pollock Dumba, Jock Bolonsky, is standing here. We all lined up together. All got a little tray, little metal trays. We're moving along to get our evening meal. I looked over casually and noticed that Mr. Billings had taken his dinky out and laid it up on the tray. Now, the young man was rather well endowed, and it did cover about 3/4 of the tray. Pollock looked over at me and said, "We having weenies for din-din?" I said, "Shut the fuck up. Be subtle." I moved along, and I got served, and I went and sat down. Now, the young lady serving her name was Bobby Joe Doe, a rather righteous young lady. Ugly. Remember that girl you had in here last night? You know, one with the Hotch collar on? Mm-hmm. Look, she's worse than that. She was a mercy hump. You know what I mean? We used to make crude remarks to her, but she'd never blink an eye, you know? I had been served. I went and sat down. Bobby Billings, laying on a tray, stepped up in front of her. She never blinked an eye. She simply took and dumped a bunch of hot gravy on it. Well, now, before he could get it off the tray, the fucking Pollock ate it. Thank you very much, and good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Don Imus. On behalf of our management, thank you for joining us this evening, and good evening.